big and better understanding of what's going on, you need to look at, first of all, you need to do a quick analysis of the debt levels, as we mentioned.
Yes.
And probably just to take viewers way back when the late, may the good Lord rest his soul in peace, the late Mwai Kibaki, when he took over the government, where he left it, where Uhuru took over the government, where he left it, and where now His Excellency William Ruto has the government. So if you go down memory lane, when Mwai Kibaki left office, the country had a debt of about 1.8 trillion Kenya shillings. By the time the previous administration was leaving office, we were looking at a debt of 8 trillion,
yes,
accumulated over a period of only 10 years.
Does it?
If you do a quick analysis of where we are at, we're talking about 10.5 thereabout trillion. We've already done 2 trillion extra,
yes, in
terms of debt, extra debt. So that is essentially already putting pressure on the economy.
Within the short period.
Within a very short period.
Doesn't that this government has been in place?
Yeah, yeah, within a very short period. And then the other thing, you also have to look at the budget, the previous budget. The budget for the year 2022-2023 was about 3.2 trillion Kenya shillings. This other budget, the budget which was read this year for 2023-2024, was 3.7 trillion. And what this administration was talking about was saying, we'll do 3 trillion on our own.
Does that, like in terms of raising,
exactly, in terms of raising the money for the budget, we'll do it internally.
Yes.
And there was a lot of, for lack of a better word, a bit of chest thumping that this is actually something we can do, but I think certain variables were not looked at properly.
Does it?
Because essentially, anytime you're raising your taxes, you need to have a balance. Because if you raise your taxes too quickly, too rapidly, number one, all the corporates get hurt. They get hurt in the sense, all of a sudden their margins are squeezed. All of a sudden they want to find ways of cutting their costs, the cost of doing business. And unfortunately, most of these entities will either, if for example, I'm manufacturing bread for purposes of this particular discussion, and you're raising taxes on my inputs, probably it's fuel, probably it's other farm inputs and whatnot, it simply means I will either sell the bread I used to sell, if it's 1,000 grams and I was selling it at 50, I have two options. Either reduce it to 750 grams, sell it at 50, or sell the 1,000 grams at 75 shillings or 100. So that simply means you have a situation whereby the prices will start going up and therefore inflation will essentially come into the market. Now, when you're raising taxes, that happens as far as the cost of production is concerned. But then again, what most entities tend to do, they tend to cut costs in terms of probably laying off guys. When you lay off guys, you're reducing your position on your PE. The PE which you still need to run the same economy that you're talking about. So you always need to have a balance when you're implementing tax. And that's why, if you look at previous administrations, we would try as much as possible to mix tax for purposes of raising revenue for the budget. You mix your taxes with debt. The debt can be local, grants, and whatnot. But the strategy which was adopted by the current regime was like, you know what, we can finance all this. And the thinking around it was, okay, we'll finance this, and then any other debts we get, or any other debts we have, we will probably use to reorganize whatever we have, because the talk was, we found the coffers empty. We found the coffers empty. Yes. We need to reorganize the economy and whatnot. But I think the strategy which has been used has been too rapid. Too many rapid changes being implemented, and that's why the economy is hurting. That notwithstanding, you're also looking at macroeconomic elements. So you had the CS mentioning about two extremes, about the weather. That, of course, affects our agriculture, output, exports, and whatnot. But then again, if you look at things from even a grand scale, the beginning of the year, we were still, as a country and as an economy, as an emerging market within the East African region, we were looking at effects of the Russia-Ukraine war, which affected fertilizer and whatnot. You're also looking at, on the currency front, Federal Reserve in the US at some point in time was increasing interest rates. So if you put all those factors together, they are putting a lot of pressure on the local currency. So we have the normal obligations we have for basic importation, and then you have your obligations on repatriation of things like maybe shareholders who have stock in the country. they are paid by foreign currency. And then you have the obligations which we keep on talking about, like maybe the Eurobond which is maturing next year and whatnot.
Yes.
So if you put all these factors in together, you have a situation whereby there's a lot of pressure on the country, and the government is trying to implement way too many policies at the same time. And the twist goes whereby, so you have a shortfall with the taxman, with the collections, and therefore that shortfall is also affecting other elements of government. We've been hearing counties complain that their funds have not been dispersed. Now the latest noise is about the members of parliament are saying CDF has not been disbursed.
Yes.
And without the CDF, we can't implement development on the ground. The same development which the government has been promising from the one that they will quickly execute.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting picture,
yes,
if you look at it. Unfortunately for the common mwananchi, things are very difficult because high taxation means
yes,
the cost of household and consumer goods goes through the roof. When that happens, it simply means the disposable income for you and me. If I have to spend more on bread, spend more on milk, spend more on transport, then it means my disposable income is continuing to go low. Also that to mention, that's something as we continue the conversation, inflation has been going high. It's only the last few months that we've been seeing single digits on inflation. And the monetary policy committee.
But we're going to talk about that. But it's a major issue.
It's a major issue,